fellas, this is We to Play, the Brenton Brushworks of YouTube. We got GalaxyWisp.
Reach for the stars, everyone.
Hopefully you can see us. I'm just putting the camera where I think it needs to be. So we're going to talk about and contrast facts and thoughts about Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania.
Now, bear in mind, it's been a long time since I played the original versions of the mini-games of Monkey Ball 2.
It's not just about the mini-games, though. We're going to also talk about, like, the stages, music. Because I'm sure we got some things to talk about when it comes to music. I almost want to start off with the worst one for you, but...
I mean, the worst one is kind of jumping into a different thing. It's one of the last things I ended up playing.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we could talk about the marathon mode or the story mode. Well, no. I guess marathon, like with SMB1.
I mean, I haven't played the marathon mode of SMB1 or 2 yet, because I've been busy with other games.
Oh my gosh, you haven't done any of that?
I played the stages. I played all the stages, but I haven't played the marathon mode yet. No.
Huh. Okay, well, this is gonna make the interview a little weird. So I guess we can't really touch on SMB1 at all, for the most part.
Well, again, I played the stages. I play all the stages. I've unlocked marathon mode. I played every single stage in SMB1 and SMB2.
No.
I just haven't played the marathon
I get what I just did. No, I meant, like, classic. I meant... challenge mode. That's what I meant to say. Challenge mode. Not marathon mode with all 100, 200. No, sorry. I that's my fault. I messed up what I was saying. So, yeah. Challenge
and
mode.
I also
challenge.
played the original music when playing some of the courses as well, so I could compare as well.
Alright, well, we'll do a little bit of comparing as we go through, but let's try to touch on as many courses as we can remember.
Like, good luck.
Right?
That's over 300 courses in the whole game.
No. I'm not talking about each individual course. I'm just talking about the worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Itself.
I know those.
Like the first grass world.
The 9 worlds of SMB1 and the 10 worlds of SMB2.
I mean, it might be a little crazy for us to try to touch on every single one, so I guess we'll try to go through the highlights as best as we can. So, like, what is some of your favorite original music, the default music, as they call it, from SMB1?
Honestly, the SMB1 default music is so good. Almost all of the new music they have for SMB1 is just so good and so superior over the original. I couldn't even believe it.
Nice. I do agree with you for the most part. I wasn't crazy about the Sky stage, not Master stages.
I actually really like... oh, wait, you mean the slowed-down version of the, like, Sky Ruins, basically.
I guess so.
Because basically they slowed down the tune for the new default music as opposed to the original where it was more...
I wouldn't...
faster tempo.
I'm not sure if I'd call it a slowdown, but it's definitely a different style.
Yes.
A lot of the style, which I first heard in SMB1, just made me think it was kind of a electronic sounding type of track. Especially the Sky stage and the space stages. Although I got used to the space stages. I like it for its atmospheric feel. Monkey Mall or the night stage.
Yeah,
I love both.
I believe I call it like a Night City or something like that.
There's an official name for it. It might just be called Night Stage or something, but...
Yeah, they called them various stuff. I basically add a second confirmation thing to the word they already
What do you
used.
think about the difference between that and the original?
Oh my gosh, the new one is so good. I was bopping so much. That is so superior over the original. It's incredible.
It honestly threw me off at first, but I mean, the more I listened to it, the more I liked it.
I loved it the moment I heard it. The moment I started hearing it and everything, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a bop!
But is there a replacement for the original?
Oh, absolutely. Really? Absolutely. I don't even have to question that.
I mean, the original was so iconic in a way. I mean, it has a different sound to it, but it's very nostalgic for me.
What's kind of interesting is, especially in Monkey Ball 1, when I was listening to the original music, like I turned on the original music and played through a good amount of courses that way.
Just spend $5 and you can do the same.
But what's interesting to me is I noticed a lot of the music, especially in Monkey Ball 1, but also in Monkey Ball 2, but especially in Monkey Ball 1, is just really repetitive, actually fairly short loops when you sit and listen to it. It's surprising. I did not expect that.
I mean, yeah, and
considering how long you're in the world, I can imagine that getting pretty annoying for some players. I mean, it's classics for us, but for some players who, like, never experienced it, turning on the original music, they'd probably be like, ugh, kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, can we play some other notes, please? Or something like that. Which is odd, because you don't really get that feeling.
That's especially the feeling with the desert stage. I never cared for the original desert stage music, but I love the new music that they picked out. I don't know why a lot of desert stages nowadays in Monkey Ball games are such a bop. Even the one in Banana Blitz HD sounds great.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's slightly more generic sounding, but at the same time, you can definitely hear...
Most of the music in Banana Blitz HD is more generic sounding.
I mean, most of it's just ripped from other games, okay? We're not here to talk about that.
Yeah.
One of the tracks that really threw me for a loop, but I loved instantly when I heard it, was the underwater track.
That was very different. That definitely caught me off guard. But I was like, dang, I could jam to this. This is definitely not what I expected. It has
such a nice vibe to it, but it also just feels right. And some of the songs, they're not even remixes of the previous songs.
Yes,
they just
some of them are brand new.
But they also carry, like, a part of the original. And
Some of them do have a essence of the original there as well, where it's like you hear some notes and it's like you recognize them instantly. And some of them are just straight up remixes of the original track.
Or remasterings.
No, they're remixes.
Okay. But I like the water one. Dakota heard the ice one before I did, but I like the ice one as well.
The ice one.
I like both ice ones.
I definitely prefer the new music for Super Monkey Ball 1 overall. The only track that I think I can say
Storm?
Probably... No, I actually like the new Storm better.
Really? I love the older Storm. I feel like it had a more
older Storm as well,
epic rock feel. I'm not saying the new one is bad by any means, but it just didn't feel as epic to me at first.
It actually did, for me.
Well, I mean, we can agree to disagree. Now, we're going to jump ahead with this one, but I love the master stage music.
Oh my gosh, that's so
the default.
Good. It was like when I heard the original one, because I'd never heard the original one before, it's like, this is so underwhelming, especially compared to this new one.
We all have...
This new one is just like, oh my god.
We all have our own thoughts about how some of the music sounds to us.
Mm-hmm.
The original, it's more of a you got here type of feeling. It's like a rare...
It feels like that's what they're going for with the new one more than the original.
No, the original is more kind of atmospheric in a way.
Yeah.
But the default, it just sounds really epic. It kind of reminds
like
me of
you got here, this is the ultimate challenge, go for it, you can do this kind of thing.
It reminds me of Ultra Heaven from Banana Blitz.
Yes,
I get that vibe, and I really, really love that.
That's excellent, because Ultra Heaven is, that's so good.
Although it's one of the things that's interesting about Banana Mania is they changed the difficulty for some of the stages.
Some of the stages they did alter, yes, to make them a bit more accessible. Yes, I will acknowledge that. I noticed that for sure.
Can we talk about Arthropod? My jaw dropped when I realized.
That is so much better. There's enough going on without those stupid holes. That is so much better.
It's a wonder.
There's enough going on in that stage without those obnoxious holes there. Now I don't have to gun it to try to hit the goal with a weird bounce thing. I can actually roll along with the arthropod and wait for the goal like they wanted me to from the get-go. Because I actually have room to maneuver.
I can't find my cell phone. That might become a problem.
Brother.
Oh well. Let's talk about the story mode and the worlds that go with it.
I'm pretty sure they use Super Monkey Ball Deluxe as the basis for the story mode, because there's definitely stages that I do not recognize from Super Monkey Ball 2's story mode. This is definitely not Super Monkey Ball 2's as stages of story mode. It's been forever since I played Deluxe, but I do remember that they did put the idea of the story mode from Super Monkey Ball 2, but changed up the stage order and the stages in general. I have a feeling that was the basis that they went for this story mode.
I'm gonna have to 100% disagree.
Because it's definitely not the Monkey Ball 2 story mode, that's for sure.
No, I'm gonna have to disagree. I know, because I've seen footage, I know the deluxe one actually has more stages for you to choose from, between not only SMB1 and SMB2, but also the exclusive deluxe stages.
Maybe they did a combination of both.
I don't think so.
Because there's a few things I know for a fact.
You may have to just go back to the original at some point.
Like, for example, I remember for sure that Birth was a stage in the story mode, and it's nowhere to be found here. That's only in the challenge mode.
I mean,
I know for sure that was one of the last stages in the game, because I'd never forget that.
I mean, you could definitely check for yourself, but I don't think that's correct. But what about the cutscenes themselves?
It was definitely a bit surprising at first, because I didn't really know what to expect and stuff, but I kind of like how they managed to make it happen.
I just
and every thing. It's fast, quick, gets the story across rather well.
Dang it.
And yeah, it's actually pretty nice, surprisingly, despite it obviously being a bit of a budget thing. Besides, to be fair, since they included Yan Yan and Doctor in the story mode, it would have been way too much of an ass to recreate all those cutscenes with those additional characters there.
True, and probably their new cel-shaded.
That would have been way too much with everything else they crammed into the game.
I mean, it's charming in its own way, although
it really does work.
They do cut out some parts that for better or for worse, kind of make the story a little bit
You mean like
incoherent.
Baboon Sneeze?
Yeah. Oh, well.
Because they don't really show that very well.
That and the monkeys being in his clothes or something like that.
Well, they basically show their sprites moving around him and clearly tickling him, but though it's not really super clear why they got back to normal from doing that. So, yeah, okay. If you don't know the story, there's definitely a few things where it's like, okay, kind of thing.
Well, let's talk about the default music for the stages, the new music that they use. I absolutely bop with Jungle Island. I love Jungle Island to no
vast
end.
Improvement, yes.
I like both versions, but... Oh, man.
Again, that was another case of the original being far more repetitive than I ever realized. It was like I heard the original, it's like, oh my gosh, this has like just a few notes and that's it, and even worse, it's maybe a minute-long loop at most.
I don't know, I almost feel like both loops are about the same. I wouldn't be able to tell you right away.
They're definitely not. The new one's much longer.
I wasn't keen on the volcano one.
It's definitely different,
I mean,
but I did come to really like it.
There's one that's worse for me.
I did come to really like it, actually. I really do like that one. It definitely is a very different vibe.
It's grown on me a little bit, but I still feel like the original beats it.
The original definitely has a more what you'd expect from a volcano type of vibe.
So the underwater...
Oh, that is so good.
Once again, I like both. I was saying at first with Dakota that I often forget how the default sounds, but I think it's starting to... I'm starting to remember it more.
The default new one is so good.
Yeah, it sounds...
beats that one.
Well, I see you're not wearing your rose-tinted glasses.
Nope.
What about the whale?
That one's a little mixed, I would say.
It definitely has a much different vibe, but...
I'm a bit mixed about that one.
I kind of like it. I'm not sure if I... Well... No, I like it. I really do like it. I hold appreciation for the original music, for how it sounds.
I do like it, but I'm a tad mixed compared to the other stuff on that one.
It's just... it's hard to describe. I think... it's hard to...
definitely caught me off guard.
I think it just depends on the person listening to it. But I can see how a lot of people wouldn't care for that one as much.
I mean, I enjoy it. I don't mind it, no.
What about the amusement park?
The new one's far superior.
You're just gonna say that about everything. Well... maybe not everything.
I was surprised by how short of a loop that was.
There's two in particular that I want to believe you wouldn't like as much, but we'll see. I keep forgetting what it's called. Boiling pot?
I think that's exactly what it's called. Boiling pot. I love that they made a remix of that tune and everything. As soon as I heard the tune, it's like, yes, it is the same tune, but remixed. I love it.
It's so high energy.
It is.
And I just kind of like it more because of that.
I think I'm probably fine with either.
Again, I think both
are pretty much I think both are relatively even on that one.
Yeah, but I always felt kind of weird about the original music.
Nah,
Not saying
I've
that
always
I don't
enjoyed the original music, if only for the fact of how long I've had to hear it when playing certain courses.
Well, then let's talk about
all the tracks I've heard in Monkey Ball 2. That's one of the ones that has always stood out in my mind because I've just heard it more than any track in the entire game by far, because some of the most painful courses are in that world.
Well, okay, hopefully we might be on the same page here, but what about the bubbling washing machine?
The new one's fine. It definitely has a more Japanese vibe to it, which I'll give them that, but the original's definitely superior.
No, I think the original has more. At least with that one part, it has more of a Japanese vibe. I'm gonna say the bubbling washing machine's probably my least favorite.
I will say the original's definitely superior over the new one.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll definitely agree with that one.
I don't
for sure.
dislike the default as much now.
Yeah, I don't dislike it, but I would definitely prefer the original.
Absolutely. What about Clock Tower?
That one, surprisingly, it does work. It has a completely different vibe.
So you don't hate it?
I don't hate it per se. Here's the thing, though. In story mode, there were so many stages in story mode in this world that were making me so upset, and the music was not helping. The music was almost like it was mocking me and just being
maddening.
oh my god!
It's maddening, for sure.
Absolutely, it's maddening. It's like, what in the heck?
But I love it. I freaking love it. But yeah, that took me by
It surprisingly works.
It's surprisingly
works.
It's so shocking how different the two sound.
It's shocking how different
Polar opposites.
The original's meant to be more epic, the new one's meant to be more like, well, this is happening now kind of thing. Yes, a clock tower base because...
That's terrific. I thought you would hate it. I thought you would just say, no. They ruined the best track.
It's not the best track. The original was not the best track. In fact, it's a really, really short loop. But the new one is straight up maddening. I'm not going to mince words. But it does miraculously work for what they're going for.
Alright. Let's talk about the two best.
Oh, yes.
So, I believe it's called...
Oh my gosh. Space Colony and Dr. Bad Boon's base. Oh, baby. They blew those out of the park.
I mean, I love the original for Space Colony, but... Oh,
they are so good with the new one. The new one is so freaking good.
And I love with...
Dr. Bad Boon's base is also, again, I love that they remixed the original tune. And they made it really imposing.
And the dubstep at the end.
It works. It really works. I was very pleasantly surprised with that.
Well, I guess we could... I haven't even discussed this with Dakota yet, because we were going to make a separate video, but... I guess we should talk about the party game, sorry. We should talk about the party games.
As per the usual when it comes to Monkey Ball, it's a mixed bag, though I will say...
So, have you played them all?
Yes.
Okay, so we can...
Yes, I have played them all, some more than others.
Now, I was talking to GalaxyWisp off-screen about Monkey Race with the original music that you buy
one thing
for
I
$5.
should mention is that I have yet to play the minigames with the default music. I cannot compare and contrast those.
Alright, so we'll just focus on gameplay.
It's the gameplay that I know. And again, I haven't played Monkey Ball 2's minigames in a very long time, so I easily could have forgotten some things about
Although,
that.
I do need to ask, how do the controls feel with the main game? Like,
They feel good.
Okay.
I do not mind it at all. I got the hang of it very quickly. It felt nice.
of course you would. I was slipping and falling for so long.
It felt very nice. I have no complaints about the controls for the main game.
I mean, if
The only
compared
thing
to
that
the
I
original
do
game, which
have
I
to
played...
mention,
Yeah?
there is one thing I do have to mention, though, which is that it feels like the physics, especially when it comes to ramps and stuff, are inconsistent. There are times where I do the exact same thing that I did that worked before, and suddenly it just suddenly doesn't work, and then it magically goes back to working again. It just feels wildly inconsistent.
Well, I gotta say, it feels like it's easier to climb a hill on the original Super Monkey Ball for GameCube than it does in this game.
Well, what's weird is I found a trick that it seems like 7 times out of 10 it actually works, which almost feels like it's game-breaking and like it's not supposed to be there.
Yeah?
Where I can actually climb hills very easily most of the time, like even from a stopping point.
Okay.
By pointing up and at an angle and stuff. It seems like
going diagonally, right?
Yeah, it seems like oddly enough, going diagonally, you're able to climb the hill way better than you probably are supposed to be.
Oh, I learned that in the original Super Monkey Ball, but it just feels easier to do it in that than it does in this new game.
I actually was able to do it pretty often here, but again, there were times where it just wouldn't work. It, like I said, wildly inconsistent physics and stuff, where sometimes something that works one time, when you die again, suddenly it won't work the next time. I don't get it. It's weird.
What about the camera that you can maneuver? Did
I
you
actually
find that?
do like that. I actually do like that. It made some areas in some courses a lot more bearable, making it so that when I was like making sharp turns and stuff, I could just come to a complete stop, turn the camera, and then turn the monkey instantly in the direction I wanted.
Yeah, it makes certain courses kind of easier.
Oh, way easier.
So, the camera is kind of an extension of your controls. If you can learn to use both. I mean, I've done this on Exam C, one of the worst ones. One of. There are plenty of worse ones than that.
Oh, there's way worse ones than that.
But I was able to use the camera to just kind of push my monkey forward slightly while turning the camera.
Things like that.
So, yeah, that really does help.
It works much better than you would think it would.
What is that noise? Is that
I think
rain?
it's rain.
Okay, cool. Well, at least...
Either that or a sprinkler.
Alright, well, let's talk about the minigames now. So, Monkey Race.
Well, again, I can't speak much for the original, but personally, this does feel like the best Monkey Race has ever felt. And everything. They've done Monkey Race a lot of different times in a lot of different ways, and it really does feel, from my experience, that this is the best it has ever felt. Though I will say there is one course that kind of screwed me over something fierce. Even though it was technically somewhat my fault, I'll admit. But it did really feel like the course just screwed me over.
Did you get lost in the underwater course?
No, I didn't get lost in everything. What was... I think it was like Desert Dash or something.
Okay.
And I literally ended up...
They changed the stage, by the way, on that.
I literally ended up hitting a speed booster away where it sent me back down to a much lower part of the track, and I couldn't catch up, and it literally timed out on me.
I've had those issues in Monkey Race 2 as well. But I gotta say, I believe this is probably the best out of all of the party games, just because of it just feels natural. It feels like it's going the right speed.
It does. Yes.
It doesn't feel
like I said, it really does feel that this is the best Monkey Race has ever played.
Yeah.
It really does feel that.
Yeah,
way.
I do agree with that. There might be... well, you know, I'm not even going to mention that because that doesn't even bother me. Now, what about Monkey Fight?
That felt perfectly fine and everything. And as for the complaints some people might have of you can't punch the screen... That's been a thing since Banana Blitz. That's just modern Monkey Ball. Whatever.
Modern Monkey Ball's ruining nostalgia for the rest of us. There is one complaint.
Whatever, I don't mind it.
There is one complaint I have that I noticed. I mean, it's a small one, but it's still noticeable. When you punch as you're moving, you stop moving. And I guarantee that did not happen.
I didn't have that problem.
I did. I mean, it's anytime I threw a punch while I'm moving, I would just kind of stop in my tracks for a moment. I guarantee that same problem does not play out in Monkey Fight 2 for Super Monkey Ball 2, which is something that you'll be contrasting and comparing pretty soon.
Obviously.
But I did notice that. But
fine.
It's not a game breaker. It's just something a little bit different you kind of have to be aware of.
It felt perfectly fine to me, but now the thing that does bother me, and this technically is something that is a flaw in the original game, I'm sure as well.
Okay.
Is that the survival mode feels utterly pointless. It feels utterly pointless.
It's like less than 5 seconds and the match is over.
Yeah, it feels like the only reason you'd ever want to play that is if you set up a full 5-win thing.
Basically a sudden death mode.
Yeah, it just feels like this doesn't even have a right to exist, really. It's just like, what's the point here?
It doesn't even matter for the stage to start crumbling because you already punched out the opponents.
Well, what drives me nuts is like, on most of the stages, the gimmicks just basically go completely out the window. Like, we get to the flower stage, it's like all the petals just go away instantly. It's like, what the heck is the freaking point?
It's basically the final destination of Smash.
It's basically the sudden death.
So.
It's basically the sudden death of Monkey Ball.
Alright, well, now we have to talk about Monkey Target. How long did it take for you to figure out how to control it?
It didn't take me too long, actually. I think I flubbed up royally the first time and being like, okay, this is different kind of thing. But really the biggest thing here, and this is super obvious for everyone who's played, is the flight physics are all wrong. Basically, it's essentially... you're slowing a fall. That's essentially all it is that you're slowing a fall as opposed to actually flying a la Super Mario 64 or something like that.
Well, I'm so used to full right tilting the control stick in order to fully control the monkey. But in this one, you have to barely move it. Otherwise, if you're moving it too much... you're losing altitude.
What I ended up doing to end up doing pretty decent at it and stuff is basically having like a rhythmic pressing down quickly on the control stick thing to
Are you on your
keep
way?
my altitude going a little bit without dropping my speed too much.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
It was
Okay, bye.
definitely weird, and you absolutely
Sorry about that.
cannot
Phone
reach
call.
faraway islands. Like, don't even try to reach faraway islands.
I'm lucky if I reach some of the first islands. And the wind, I feel, is too powerful. I feel like the wind mechanics is too much.
I was too busy trying to keep my altitude fine to even give a you-know-what about the wind.
Unfortunately, not the best monkey target at all.
Now, I will say, I do
worst.
like one thing,
Yeah?
though,
What's
which is the number one thing I've always complained about with Monkey Target. They finally fixed it here, which is that when you land, your momentum doesn't send you like a mile from your landing point. It actually stops rolling fairly quickly, making it so I can actually aim and predict where I'm going to land and actually get decent scores without just getting sent off the edge when I thought I made a perfect landing, which has happened I don't even know how many times while playing Monkey Target originally.
Well, I guess that's...
So, I am very glad they fixed that. If only they would fix the flight physics, this would be my best Monkey Target for sure, in my opinion. If they fix the flight physics.
Well, the flight physics
cannot
is a
ignore the
huge
flight
problem.
physics.
Huge problem.
Cannot ignore the flight physics.
No other Monkey Target in any other game has had this problem before.
No, because you're supposed to actually fly, not basically slow your fall. Which is basically what this one does.
Well, we got that out of the way.
Hopefully they'll fix that, because that's a legit problem.
Okay, monkey billiards. It's not usually something I would talk about that much, but there are two things I want to know about that party game. One, the music's good.
Yes.
I don't know why all of the monkey billiards music is so good, but oh my gosh, such a jazzy, lax feel.
It really does.
But I have to say, unless you're playing against a computer, it's kind of a little too easy in a way. Because you can tell where a ball that you... First off, you can tell where your cue ball is going to hit.
Yes, you can plan your shots ahead of time, but trust me when
where the ball is, which direction it's
not
going to go.
necessarily be how it goes and everything. I've planned my shots out and had things not quite go the way I intended.
It's a good 90% chance that you're going to get it exactly where you want to hit it.
But yes, you can be a lot more precise in this one.
It's great against computer players, but I feel like if I was playing against you, that it wouldn't... the challenge wouldn't be there for, either of us in a way. Because someone could potentially just play the whole entire game if they were lucky and not have the other person play. I feel like it's too precise.
I had a computer nearly play the entire game by himself. I'm not kidding. On the normal difficulty, I had a computer play through almost the entire thing. That's one of my complaints and everything, is that the computers are wildly inconsistent.
The levels for the computers.
No, just the computers in general. Again, I played this entire thing on the normal difficulty and stuff. And there were rounds where it seemed like the computers were just like all of a sudden God tier for no reason at all. And then there were rounds where they would flat out make one of the worst break shots I've ever seen in my life. And stuff. Or rounds where it's like they shot the cue ball in a way where it didn't hit any balls, and it's like, how'd you manage to mess up this badly? So it's just all over the place. Sometimes they're incredibly smart, sometimes they're dumb as bricks, sometimes they're in between. I don't know.
I mean, the only thing like I said, the only thing I complained about is how accurate it is. If there's a way to toggle that on and off, I think it would be perfect to me. Aside from, you know, the inconsistent computers.
And there is one other complaint I had, which was something that I ended up discovering was a thing by pure accident that really shouldn't be a rule.
Okay.
I played 8-ball, and of course I know how 8-ball works and everything. You get the 8-ball in before you get all the other balls of your type in. And you lose, you know, but you put the 8-ball in the
all your solids or stripes in
or
first.
in this case, odds and evens. Or in this case, lows and highs, because that's what they decided to call it. It's the same thing.
Does it have to do with the fact that you have to hit 2 of the same balls in before they solidify?
So that's what that was going on about that.
Yeah, I did notice that.
I was confused about that at first, but no, that's not the complaint and everything. That just weirded me out, kind of thing. I didn't realize what was going on, but now that makes sense.
Okay.
But there was one time where, I'm not even kidding, I ended up hitting the 8-ball into the right pocket I had picked and stuff. Like, it was the final round, I hit the 8-ball right, but I accidentally hit it a little too hard and sent the cue ball into the hole.
You scratched on the 8-ball.
Well, no, it wasn't that I scratched the 8-ball. The 8-ball went in.
But you basically... You scratched on the 8-ball, but at the same time you got the 8-ball in. They still consider that scratch to be
They
bad,
consider it a loss. They consider a straight up loss.
Well,
it went from me laughing at the absurdity of that just happened to being legit furious that I just lost a match through some incredibly stupid thing.
To be fair, that might be in the regular rules. That's something That's something we'll have to check.
But yeah, that just seems dumb, considering how many ways there are to lose, and considering how far you get there. I'd understand if you hit the 8-ball in the wrong pocket and scratched and everything. Sure, whatever. But hitting the 8-ball in the right pocket should give you the win, regardless of where the cue ball goes from that point forward, I feel.
Okay, let's jump topics here. Bowling. Quick round. Quick on bowling. Let's talk about the music.
The music's good.
Good. The remix is alright to me. It sounds fine, but I still feel like I like the original, but I like this. It's one of my top favorite. It's hard to say. It's one of my top favorite remixes. It's just not all the way up there.
Okay.
I just don't feel like it matches the same vibe that I get, the same joy I get from listening to the original. But I like it. I can prefer it. I won't be mad if it plays. Bowling is just like bowling, but I must admit that I think the spin is stronger.
Yes, the spin is way stronger, which I'm actually happy about because
is kind of slower.
I can't really speak for the power meter and everything, but monkey bowling has always been a bit...
the tilting. When it's tilting, I think it moves slower than it does in the original. With Baby, I think it moves slow. But
yes, you mean the basically direction fireball.
Exactly.
Yes, that's definitely slower, but that doesn't necessarily help. Monkey bowling has always been a odd kind of bowling experience, really, because of the way that
I like the special mode. I think that's the most fun, is just playing on courses where the bowling alley itself, the lane itself, is warped and moved around.
Yes,
so
it definitely
it gives,
shines most when you play it on that thing, although they can also be a little too erratic for their own good sometimes.
One surprise I found was the strike mode, where you don't even have to just get a strike, they just count your first throw. And then that's your score for that thing. I don't think you've played it yet, but...
I'm thinking of something else, I'm pretty sure.
Challenge mode, where you have to hit all the pins in one go.
That sucks. That legitimately sucks.
I'm not good at it yet, but...
That legitimately
I think I've only gotten
That's
like
just
4 or 5.
really irritating because...
That's in the original as well.
Because this is a bowling game that it's difficult to even get a strike on in general. So, doing this is just irritating.
Well, I think that's in the original and number 2 as well.
Yeah, it probably is. It was never a good idea to begin with, so again, that falls back on the original, not the remake. It's not the remake's fault that the original had such bad ideas at times.
Alright, so Monkey Golf. First off, my biggest hatred with the game is that it will not stop you at some point. It will not say, oh, you've went over your limit.
That is definitely something they should fix.
Yeah,
that is definitely something they should fix.
The mini-golf courses are so hard. It's like, how are you going to get a par on some of these stupid courses?
Well, a lot of them are really trial and error. First off, the pars are way too low and everything. Considering the courses and stuff, you have to be near perfect to get pars on a lot of these courses and stuff, which doesn't seem very smart in design to begin with.
Yeah.
These pars feel way too low.
But I don't understand why they don't just at some point say, oh, you've done too much.
Yes, +8 is usually the give up thing with 8 over par, but they just remove that for reasons I don't even remotely get. I mean, on the one hand, it does ensure that you play the holes, but on the other hand, it can be really obnoxious.
Some of these holes are so impossible to get into.
No, I managed to get into all the holes and figure it out.
Too, but I can't say that I didn't get like a +22 or something like that.
I didn't get anything like that, fortunately.
Good for you for being such a better gamer than me. Jeez.
I did actually manage to figure out the holes, but yes, I do agree that it seems dumb for them to remove the give up +8 thing and just keep it going, because no other golf game in history has ever done something that dumb.
So, I don't know if you remember what the music is for
Not
that mode.
particularly, but...
I mean, it sounds nice. I can't remember it myself.
The new music sounds perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Monkey Boat?
Monkey Boat's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't really have too much complaints
now,
as far as I know.
One thing, which,
but I
don't know if this is in the original or not, but basically, 2 of the items feel overpowered. Which are the whale spout torpedo and the whirlpool. Basically, they last way too long. There was this one point where I fired a whirlpool. I saw the computer get hit by it, went by him and everything, and then I look at the map and I see all the other arrows just get clumped together, which it was obvious what happened. But I saw them clumped together for like so long that they didn't have a prayer of catching up to me. Like, it feels like those last way too long, considering that there isn't a way to have something, there isn't an item to send it directly to first place. Basically, if the first placer hits someone with the right item and manages to get everyone else stuck in it, and is good enough to keep it going, nobody is ever going to catch them.
Alright, I need to stop you there.
So, it does feel like those are
I wouldn't be able to answer that. That's something I'll have to compare and contrast when we play Super Monkey Ball 2. Because I didn't really play much Monkey Boat on 2. So, I wouldn't really know.
I don't know if that was a problem in the original or not, but I can only speak for Banana Mania, and Banana Mania, it does feel like those two items are a tad overpowered because of how long they last.
So, you probably would know more about this than me, to a degree, but what about Monkey Shot? How's that feel?
That's pretty good. It feels good.
I feel like the help items move slower.
I don't remember exactly how well it functioned in the original version and stuff, but it felt fine. I enjoyed myself. It's definitely challenging, but that's kind of the name of the game.
So, from what I can remember, I think there's two differences with it. The help items, I think they move slower on the screen.
Makes sense.
And I think you have less health. I think. I thought you had like a health bar.
That.
I thought you had like a health bar in the original game.
I don't know about that.
It's also possible that ammo is a lot more generous, because I swear I've had problems on Super Monkey Ball 2 where I've ran out of ammo and I have to mash a button just to...
I'm not so sure. I think that's dependent on how much you're shooting and everything, because on the final stage, when I got to the last boss and everything,
When I got
to the last boss, I did actually run out of ammo.
Oh. What happened then?
I had to mash the button to get it back.
Okay. So I haven't seen that on my game yet, but I remember that was in the original game.
But yes, it is absolutely feasible to run out of ammo if you're not careful, and it's definitely challenging.
I think the most annoying part, though, is every time you hit something.
Hit.
Yeah, hit.
I don't mind it too much, but yes, I can definitely see that getting on some people's nerves.
It wasn't in the original game.
I can definitely see that getting on some people's nerves, I won't deny. I didn't particularly mind it, but I can definitely see some people being like, oh, shut up! kind of thing.
Yeah. So, here's another one you'd be more familiar with. Monkey Dog Fight.
That one is... I'm mixed on and everything. I do like it, but honestly, it might be because I played Star Fox and everything, but it really feels like they could have benefited from having the 3 techniques you can do in Star Fox, like, a lot more.
Beowulf and...
Beowulf, somersault, and U-turn.
Yeah, but I don't...
It really feels like it would benefit from that, because the thing is...
I don't think the original has those.
Yeah, but... The thing is, if someone is, like, dogging you and everything, it is very difficult to get them off your tail. Possible with computers, but I can imagine, like, if another player was good enough and, like, dogged you from behind, like, there'd be no way to get away from them if, like, they tracked every move you make, because you just move too slow to really throw them off.
Well, remember, you can adjust your speed.
Yes, but still...
So you could essentially slow down and have them pass right by you. That could be a strategy.
Yeah, but with how far away you can shoot them, you don't necessarily have to be right up in their grill to do it.
That's true.
I had multiple times where the computers were just blasting the heck out of me, and I was able to eventually get them off my tail, but it seemed a lot harder than it really should feel.
But what about the music? Since that's the only thing I recognize.
I like it.
I think the original's better. I think the original's more epic, for sure.
Again, I don't remember the original music
most
of these that well.
You will when we get to it. I definitely prefer the original music. 110%.
Yeah, again, I can't really speak for the original music on most of these.
So, Monkey Soccer.
I'm way too good at it.
Well, that makes one of us.
I'm way too good at it. Like, I beat a computer by almost 15 points before at one point. I literally made a picture saying, like, I almost feel bad for this.
You might have...
It was like 1 second remaining. It's like I'm 15 points ahead of him. And it's like, wow.
Okay, well, you might need to teach me some pointers or something.
It's actually pretty easy.
I can't remember the music so much for the mode, but I gotta say that the original is just so recognizable to me. Why I'm bad at the game, as far as I know, I will say this is where I start kind of nitpicking a lot harder, because they start taking out animations and jingles.
I'm kind of glad they did, though, because...
Really?
Trust me when I say that with how good I was doing, if they had been screaming goal every freaking time I made a goal, I would probably... the person next to me who would be doing that would probably throw their controller down in frustration and be like, get the fuck on with it, kind of thing. So, that was actually really smart of them to shorten a lot of this stuff, because that kind of stuff can get really annoying if you're on the receiving end of it.
I'm not going to deny that it's more streamlined, but I feel like it takes some of the charm and nostalgia out.
I'm just glad that they have a replay at all. I honestly wasn't even expecting a replay.
Shoot.
I honestly wasn't even expecting a replay, so I'm happy about that.
Right back.
The baseball one I actually really like, because one of the #1 complaints I had about the original baseball was that basically if your ball went anywhere near those monkeys in the outfield, they would always catch it. And that was really obnoxious, because like they were ridiculously good at catching the ball and stuff. Whereas the fences, not only can you see them a lot better and stuff, but you can actually know, like, when it hits the fence, it was clearly